You are sitting on the couch. Your cat is in your lap. He is purring, that deep, rolling, engine-in-the-chest purr that tells you everything is right in the world. You are stroking his back. Long, slow. He is leaning into your hand. His eyes are half shut. And then, out of nowhere, he whips around and bites you. Teeth on your hand. Or a claw hooked into your wrist. And you freeze, and you think the same thing every cat owner thinks in that moment. What did I do wrong? Here's the answer, and I want you to hear it before anything else, because it's going to change how you feel about that bite for the rest of your life. You didn't do anything wrong. Your cat wasn't lying to you when he was purring. He wasn't tricking you. He wasn't secretly angry the whole time. That purr was real. The affection was real. And the bite was real too. And all three of those things are true at the same time. That's the part almost nobody understands. I'm Dr. Aurelio. I've been the old-school cat vet in this town for a long time, and I've had this exact conversation with hundreds of owners sitting across from me, rubbing a little scratch on the back of their hand, looking hurt and confused. And I always tell them the same thing I'm about to tell you. Your cat bites you while purring for one simple reason, and once you understand it, you'll see the warning coming every single time. There's a moment, a split second, right before that bite, where your cat tells you it's about to happen. Most people miss it their whole lives. By the end of this, you won't. So let me take the mystery out of it right now, because I'm not going to make you wait. What you're seeing is called petting-induced aggression, and the real reason behind it isn't anger, and it isn't a mean streak, and it isn't your cat being two-faced. It's overstimulation. Your cat has a threshold, a limit for how much touch feels good before it starts to feel like too much. And here's the thing that trips everybody up. That threshold can flip in an instant. 1 second the petting feels wonderful. The next second, the exact same petting in the exact same spot feels unbearable. Nothing changed on your end. Everything changed on his. Now let me tell you what's actually happening under that fur, because this is the part that makes it all click. Run your hand down your cat's back. Feel all that soft coat? Every single one of those hairs grows out of a follicle, and wrapped around the base of every follicle are tiny nerve endings. Thousands of them, tens of thousands. When you stroke your cat, you're not just touching hair, you're bending and dragging across all of those little nerve endings at once, over and over and over. At first, that flood of sensation reads as pleasant. Good, soothing. It's why he's purring. But those nerves don't have an infinite runway. Keep firing them, stroke after stroke after stroke, and the signal starts to pile up. It builds and builds until it crosses a line in his nervous system and the pleasant tips over into too much, almost like a static charge that finally has to discharge. That discharge is the bite. Think about it in a way you already know. You know when someone tickles you, and for the first few seconds it's fun, you're laughing, and then it keeps going, and suddenly it isn't fun anymore. It's genuinely unbearable, and you'll do almost anything to make it stop, even shove the person away. Same nervous system, same tipping point. The pleasant sensation and the unbearable one lie right next to each other, and it doesn't take much to fall from one into the other. Your cat isn't punishing you. He's shoving the tickle away the only way a cat knows how, and I want you to sit with why a cat, specifically, is so prone to this, because it's not random and it's not a flaw. Remember what a cat actually is under all that softness. He's a small predator, wired to be exquisitely aware of every inch of his own body, because in the wild that awareness is what keeps him alive. That fur isn't just for looking pretty, it's a sensing organ. Every hair is a tiny antenna reporting back where things are touching him, how hard, from what direction. A cat can feel a fly land on the far end of his tail. That's how fine-tuned that system is. So when you run your hand down his back for the 10th stroke in a row, you're pouring input into a sensory system that was built to notice a fly. Of course, it fills up fast. The very thing that makes a cat so alive to your touch in the first place is the thing that makes that touch tip over into too much. His gift and his short fuse are the same wiring. There's another piece too, and it's the part owners find hardest to accept. Cats are not built to be handled the way we want to handle them. Think about how cats show affection to each other. They don't sit and stroke each other's backs for 10 minutes. They headbutt, they rub cheeks, They give a few quick licks and then they're done, and they wander off. Short, mutual, on their terms. Then here we come, these enormous creatures, and we scoop them up and run our giant hand down their whole body over and over for as long as we feel like it, and we call it love. And it is love, but it's love in a language the cat didn't grow up speaking. So a lot of what looks like a cat turning on you is really just a cat hitting the point where our version of affection stops matching his version of affection. He was fine with the conversation. He just needed it to be shorter than you did, and that reframes the whole thing, doesn't it? That bite you took so personally, the one that made you feel rejected, made you feel like your own cat turned on you, that wasn't rejection. That was communication. A blunt, toothy, badly worded piece of communication, sure, but communication. He was saying, stop, and he'd already tried to say it more politely, and you didn't catch it. Which brings me to the most important part of this whole video, the warnings. Because your cat almost never bites out of a clear blue sky. He warns you first, every time. The bite is the last resort, not the first move. And once you can read those warnings, this problem more or less disappears from your house. So let's learn them, one by one, and I'm saving the most important one for last, the sign that if you catch nothing else, catch this. But start with the first. The first warning, and the one that shows up earliest, is the tail. Watch your cat's tail while you pet him. When he's content, that tail is loose, still, or maybe a slow, lazy sway. But when he's edging toward his threshold, the tip of the tail starts to move. A little flick, then a bigger one. Then that tail starts lashing, thumping, whipping side to side. In cat language, a thrashing tail is not a happy tail. On a dog, a wagging tail means joy. On a cat, it means the opposite. It means agitation, tension. I am reaching my limit. If you learn nothing else from me today, learn to watch the tail. It's the earliest, clearest sign you've got, and it starts firing long before the teeth do. Now the second sign, and this one is quieter, so most people walk right past it. Watch the skin along his back. When a cat is heading toward overstimulation, you'll sometimes see the skin ripple, an involuntary little twitch or shudder rolling down his back, like the fur has a shiver of its own. That's those overloaded nerve endings we talked about, firing on their own, showing up on the surface. It's the closest thing you'll ever get to actually seeing the overload happen in real time. Those follicles are so full of signal that the skin itself starts to jump. Some cats do it more than others, and some barely do it at all. But if you see that skin start to twitch and roll under your hand, don't wait for the next sign. Put the hand down. That's his nervous system telling you, right out loud, that the follicles have had enough. The third warning is the ears. A relaxed, happy cat holds his ears up and forward, open to the world. As he gets closer to his limit, those ears start to rotate. They flatten. They swivel back and off to the sides. People call them airplane ears because they stick out flat like little wings. The moment those ears go from up and forward to flat and sideways, your window is closing fast. That is a cat who is done being touched and is deciding what to do about it. And now the fourth sign. This is the one I told you to wait for, the most important one. The sign that if you catch only a single warning for the rest of your life, catch this. And it's the one that breaks people's hearts a little, once they understand it. It's the head turn. Your cat, mid-purr, mid-petting, suddenly turns his head and looks down at your hand, right at it. And most owners read that as, oh look, he's checking in with me, isn't that sweet? And they keep right on petting. But that head turn isn't affection. That's your cat locating the thing that's bothering him. He's looking at your hand the way you'd look at a mosquito that just landed on your arm. He's lining it up. That head turn toward the hand is very often the last beat before the bite. If you see the tail going and the ears flattening, and then that head swivels down toward your hand, stop. Don't finish the stroke. That's the split second everybody misses. So put it all together because it happens in a sequence and it happens fast. Loose tail, purring, half-closed eyes. He's happy. Keep going. Tail tip starts flicking. He's approaching his limit. Ease up. Skin rippling. Ears rotating back. You're at the edge. Take your hand away now. Head turns down toward the hand. You're out of time. And if the hand's still moving, you're getting bitten. That whole ladder can climb in 10 or 15 seconds. The bite feels like it came from nowhere, but it didn't. It came at the end of a very clear conversation you just weren't part of yet. Now let me talk to the person who's a little skeptical right now, because I know you're out there. You're thinking, Dr. Aurelio, my cat has none of these signs. He just bites. And I believe you that it feels that way. But here's what's really going on with those cats. Some cats have a very short runway. Their threshold is low, and it comes up on them fast, so the whole warning sequence gets compressed into a fraction of a second. The tail flick and the head turn and the bite almost happen on top of each other. Those aren't cats with no warnings. Those are cats whose warnings you have to catch early because you don't get the luxury of watching them build. For a cat like that, the answer isn't better reflexes. You'll never win a reflex race against a cat, so don't even try. The answer is the single most important rule I'm going to give you today. And here's why the short-runway cats are so common, and why it isn't their fault. A lot of them are cats who weren't handled much when they were tiny. During those first few weeks of life when a kitten's brain is deciding whether human hands are safe and good, or startling and unwelcome. A kitten who got gentle, frequent, easygoing handling early on tends to grow up with a longer runway. A kitten who didn't tends to grow up more sensitive to being touched, quicker to hit that ceiling. If you adopted an adult cat and you don't know his history, you may simply have a cat who never got that early lesson, and that's nobody's fault, least of all yours. You can still build his tolerance up. It's just slower, and it's built one short, positive session at a time, which is exactly the rule I'm about to give you. I call it less is more. Here's what it means. Almost every owner pets their cat until the cat stops them. They keep going, and they wait for the cat to signal that it's over, and the cat's only clear signal is teeth. So you're basically training yourself to always pet right up to the bite. Flip it around. Instead of petting until the cat says stop, you stop first. Give him a few strokes, just a few, and then take your hand away before he asks you to. Let him sit there wanting a little more. If he wants more, he'll headbutt your hand, he'll nudge you, he'll lean back in. Then you give a few more, and you stop again. You keep every single session ending on a good note, well short of his threshold, decided by you and not by his teeth. It sounds almost too simple, but it works, and here's why. You're never letting that nerve overload build up to the tipping point in the first place. You're draining the charge before it can spark. And a wonderful thing happens over time. Your cat starts to trust your hands more because your hands never once betrayed him by pushing past his limit. He learns that being touched by you always feels good and always stops before it gets to be too much. That's how you turn a cat who bites into a cat who curls up and asks for more. And let me give you the picture of how a less is more session actually looks, so you can start tonight. You sit down, cat in the lap, and you give him maybe 3 or 4 slow strokes. That's it. Then your hand lifts off and rests still. You wait. If he's had enough, he'll just sit there or drift off, and you've ended perfectly. Good feeling, no bite, session over. But if he wants more, watch what he does. He'll turn into your hand. He'll push his cheek up against your fingers, or headbutt your palm, or reposition himself right back under your hand. That's a yes. That's an invitation you can actually trust, because it came from him. So you give another few strokes, and you stop again, and you let him ask again. You're not petting the cat anymore. You're having a back and forth with him, and he's setting the pace. That's the whole trick. The cat who used to bite you is now spending the whole time asking you for more. And a cat who's asking for more is a cat who is nowhere near his threshold. And notice what this does to that hurt feeling you started with. You stop taking the bite personally because you stop getting bitten. You stop bracing for it. Your hand relaxes, and cats feel that in your touch. A relaxed hand and a tense, waiting to be bitten hand feel completely different to an animal that can sense a fly on its tail. So the calmer you get, the calmer he gets, and the whole relationship softens. All of it starts with one decision. You stop first. A few more things that help, gently. Learn where your cat likes to be touched. Most cats love the areas around the face, the cheeks, under the chin, the base of the ears, the little scent glands there. That kind of touch a cat can usually take a lot more of, and for a lot longer. What tends to overload them fast is long, repeated strokes down the whole length of the back, and especially anywhere near the base of the tail. That lower back and tail base is loaded with nerve endings, and it's a very common trigger spot. If your cat is a quick biter, favor the cheeks and the chin and go easy on the long back strokes, and you'll be amazed how much longer he'll happily sit with you. There's a reason cats offer you their cheeks and rub their faces on you and the furniture. Those spots carry their scent glands, and letting you touch them, there is part of how they mark you as theirs. So face touching isn't just better tolerated, it's touch a cat actively wants, in his own language. The belly, on the other hand, that soft, tempting belly a cat sometimes flops over and shows you, is usually a trap, not an invitation. On most cats, the belly is a vulnerable, protected zone, and reaching for it is one of the fastest ways to get grabbed by all four paws and bitten. Showing you the belly is a sign of trust. Touching it is often a betrayal of that trust in the cat's eyes. Admire it, and keep your hand on the cheeks. Now, I want to be responsible here, the way I always am with you. Almost all of what we're talking about is completely normal cat behavior. It is not a medical problem. It is not a sign that something's wrong. It's just a cat being a cat with a nervous system that has a limit. You do not need to run out the door in the middle of the night over a petting bite. But I'll tell you the one situation where I'd want you to think a little harder. If your cat used to happily accept long petting sessions and has suddenly gotten touchy about being handled, flinching, biting when you touch a spot he never used to mind, especially a particular area of the body, that can sometimes mean that spot hurts. Pain can make a gentle cat snap when you touch the sore place. If the change in behavior is new, and it seems tied to touching one particular area, that's worth a conversation with your veterinarian, just to rule out that something aches under there. And of course, if any bite ever breaks the skin on you, cat bites can get infected easily and quickly, so clean it well, and don't be shy about getting it looked at. I'm not going to hand you a dose of anything or a home remedy for that. For anything involving your own wound or your cat's health, ask your veterinarian the right thing to do for your situation. But for the everyday version, the purring cat who nips the hand, you don't need a vet, and you don't need to feel guilty. You need to watch the tail, watch the ears, catch the head turn, and remember, less is more. So let me leave you with the thing I most want you to carry out of here. For years, maybe, you thought your cat was affectionate but a little cruel, loving you one moment and hurting you the next, and you couldn't square the two. But now you know there was never any cruelty in it. There was a purr that meant, I love this, and a threshold that meant, that's my limit, and a whole quiet sequence of little signals in between that you simply hadn't been taught to read, until tonight, when you finally learned the language your cat has been speaking to you all along, so that from here on out you'll catch the warning, lift your hand a moment early, and let that purr go on and on the way the old-timers always knew love was supposed to, gently, and never one stroke too far. That's how it's done in every home that truly understands a cat. If this helped even one bite make sense, do me a favor and subscribe, because the next thing I teach you might be the one that matters most. And tell me down in the comments, what's your cat's warning sign? The tail? The airplane ears? That little head turn toward your hand? I read them, and I want to know which one you're going to be watching for now.